welcome to the regular podcast, Knowledge Empowers. As always, with you is me, Kat. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we have Kolaj.
Dobré ráno. Good morning, everyone.
Kolaj, what are our three tidbits, or aka fun facts?
So we will start a bit with physics and something I haven't totally understood. But the title, well, what can I say? The title says, there was some sort of progress with the physics and quantum mechanics and everything like that. And they say that scientists created a wormhole in quantum computer.
Oh, nice. So is the computer still there?
Yes, that's the thing. I have no clue what, like, I've read like 2 or 3 articles about it, and I still have no clue what they mean by that, because, you know, it was just the design. I have no clue. It's just that there is the link. If you're interested in the nerdy stuff like that, go and chase it. But I have literally, I don't know how to grasp that. So if somebody is out there and can understand and explain it to us, please tell us. We will invite you here, because that's like.
So
I didn't understand even what you said.
So did the wormhole exist for a fraction of a second, or?
It seems it did, and it was created in some sort of just not like physically but virtually or something like that. It's like it wasn't a proper wormhole, but it was there.
Okay,
because it was quantum realm. I've really seriously I've read it.
It was there and then it wasn't there.
Yes,
depending on the observer.
The electrons. Yep. They knew the position or the speed. Yes.
Haven't you been on Mathematic Physics University?
Yes, yeah. I've been. That's why I'm really troubled by this, you know.
well,
and
good news
and now we know the reason why they've kicked me out of the university, you know.
I like that it wasn't a proper wormhole. Otherwise, we would probably not be here.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, how they've created a wormhole if it wasn't a proper wormhole.
Yeah, it maybe it was there and then it wasn't in like very short time.
Yeah, but anyway,
okay, my head hurts. Let's move to number 2, shall we?
Good. The other thing is about how to make people happy through financial rewards. And there were several studies actually done with this. One was done in 2010, and it was done by Daniel Kahneman. And the salary, which makes people like happy on a level that if they get more, it doesn't make them happy anymore. And it was in 2010, it was $75K
per year.
Per year. Yeah, so it's about $6,000 a month.
So that was a US study.
Yes, that was a US study.
Okay.
And then they done the research again. Gallup and Purdue done the research in 2018. And guess what? It rose to $95K. Well, so there was already an increase in this.
Well, it would be even more today, right?
I guess so. Although I still can't imagine like how to get $95K per year. You know, that's.
But that's in average.
That's the. Not average, that's the amount which makes people happy enough that if you get more, it doesn't make you happy anymore. Like you don't know what to do with those money anymore or whatsoever. You don't spend them on happiness. If you get a salary increase after those $95K, you're like, nah, whatever.
Funny you say, like, I don't make 95 or 75 a year. However, I do have salary for a couple of years where whenever I get raised, it's just like, eh. Because I'm happy.
But you are not American. You don't live in US, right? So that's
I don't have this like 6 rooms house with huge yard and
and one bill in the doctor doesn't cost you, like $10K.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. But what is the most interesting thing is that they've done a study also they've continued with the study, and they found out that actually after you get over $105K, so over $100,000, the happiness actually starts to decrease.
Oh, Like because you have higher salary, just because of
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Which is,
that's
I mean,
that's
I'm
when
not
you become. I think that's when you become
where you have more money than you need.
greedy. Not,
Yeah, I
not
think
even
so.
greedy. The mammon starts. You know, like you want to have
Could be.
more, and you want to rule
Could
the
be.
world.
Yeah, because then you are like, I've earned so much, but that's not enough. Then those big sharks, and start comparing to them. Maybe, who
I
knows?
don't know.
Yeah, but I will again add the links, and again, it's interesting how you can assess the salary income and actually figure out the happiness there if there is any.
Mhm.
Stay simple.
Yep.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3 is about berries. I've mentioned this couple of podcasts before. So I have here a list of fruits or vegetables.
We are not sure.
And no, I mean, like, I have both. And I want you to guess which of them is actually a berry.
Okay, yeah, let's try.
Okay, pretty simple. Okay, so let's start. Is raspberry a berry?
Should be.
Yes.
No.
No, but it has the.
Yep, but it's not. It
How do you
belongs
define the
to
berry then?
how. That's something I don't have mentioned here, but it's
for the entertainment
about-
What a,
purposes.
what a
It's
fundamental
about this-
answer.
it's about seeds being inside of the fruit, which raspberry is not, because you don't have seeds inside the raspberry.
Inside of.
It's actually raspberry is a really special type because it has all these bubbles there. So it belongs actually to rose family.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Interesting.
Banana,
That should be a fruit.
and it's a fruit. Yes.
But you are asking
And
whether
is
it's
it
a
a berry?
berry. I don't
Is it
know.
a berry or not?
No,
No.
Yes, it is.
it is a berry.
It is a berry because banana has seeds inside, basically speaking.
But
Ah.
so does apple.
Or orange.
Lemon.
Yes. Yes. And we will get to those, not exactly to those, but yep. Watermelon.
But hold on. Are you trying to tell me that an apple is a berry?
Apple is not a berry because there is, again, a different definition for that. It's a palm fruit. Berries do not dry out or split apart. So that's what happens with apples, like there's seeds inside, they're trying to get out. That's at least what Google is saying here, like when it comes to the definition. So watermelon, is watermelon a berry?
No,
Does it dry out?
it does. And the seeds split up. So no.
It is a berry.
Oh. You just
Strawberry.
gave us the definition.
Strawberry.
They are vegetables, right?
What?
I'm not sure if could be. I'm not exactly sure. Again, it's a special type of fruit, or like it's special type of
I say
thingy
it's a
there.
berry.
It's not a berry
Oh, come on.
because the seeds are outside on the skin. It's not within the fleshy fruit. It's not within the fleshy part of the plant. So that's not blackberry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, blackberry is a berry.
Finally.
Wait.
Pumpkin.
Well, yes, if watermelon is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Blueberry.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Baruch gave us some scientific proof of your saying no.
No, I just don't, I'm just disappointed by my choice.
Cherries.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Hmm.
They are drupe because they have just one pitstone inside, so it's not a berry.
Okay.
Ah.
There needs to be multiple of them.
So many criteria.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Cranberry.
No.
Yes.
Cranberries are not a berry. Again,
See?
falsely aligned with berries, but no. They are something called epigenous, so type fruit commonly aligned with berries, but not really.
Okay.
I feel frustrated. Let's start our podcast.
Yeah. So this is it. So out of those, all the berries, so only blackberry and cranberry actually are berries. The rest is not. So rather pepper, banana, or watermelon are berries actually. So there
when
you
they
go.
say berries are healthy, so we should disregard that statement.
Well, not. I think that peppers are pretty healthy, or like pumpkin is pretty
Banana
healthy.
is not as healthy
Banana,
as
well,
they say.
banana is really special. Like when it comes to that.
What do you
Yeah, I
mean for
agree.
people who exercise or with the low blood pressure?
Yeah,
Banana is
exactly.
superb.
Exactly.
True, but what I mean from the botanical perspective, the banana we know as we know them, the yellow stickies which you eat, are actually artificially made, strictly speaking, because that's not how they natively look in the wildness.
How do they look in the world?
They are just green sticks, similarly to the beans. That's really how the banana looks when it's grown outside.
Less flesh.
Yep, let's flesh. Actually, I'm not sure if there is enough flesh to actually eat, because even the monkeys wouldn't touch that.
Okay.
So
Bananas are not bananas either.
Yeah, in wildness, nope.
Shall we not go there? I'm like, my head hurts.
Yeah, we can talk also the funny corn, which was really colorful in the original way, or purple carrots, but that's a different discussion.
Okay. What a morning. Oh my gosh. Okay. Today's topic is language, or aka languages. And when did we start it? How did we learn it? How many do we know them? Let's start with collage. First of all, what languages do you speak? And then how many you understand?
I speak two, so my native language and English. That's really, really far away.
So native language is Slovak, and then you
Yep.
speak English. Okay.
Yeah. I've tried to learn German. I've tried to learn Romanian. I've tried to learn, what else was there? I think 2 more languages. I understand shit. And yeah, so that's pretty it. I mean, I'm really simple when it comes to languages. I'm not really suitable for that.
No,
it
but you
doesn't
also
stick with me.
understand Czech. Like you fully understand.
True, but I really don't consider Czech language as it's totally different language. It's like
You should
like
go
Russians,
to Prague.
like Russian understanding Ukrainian. Like
Yeah, but it is
Mm-mm.
like for foreigners, like if they learn in Czech, they don't understand Slovak and vice versa. So I would say you understand Czech fluently. You don't speak,
Okay,
but you
okay.
understand.
Thank you.
And also when you go to Czech Republic now and ask some young people, Czech people in Slovak, they will stay confused.
Yep, they would be like,
Can you
Okay.
speak Czech to me?
yeah, or English. I had it even in hotels, so I was like,
Wow.
why is this girl doesn't understand me? Then I switched to English, and she was like, oh, okay. I'm like, so you seriously want me to speak to you in Czech? Like, oh my gosh. And we will elaborate more on this, but Barush, what languages do you speak? And then how many you understand?
Well, I understand as many as I speak. So, same like collage. My native language is Slovak, and I speak English, my broken English, and then I have some level, let's say medium level of Chinese, which I don't speak very well. I can read it better than I can speak it.
And Mandarin or
So-
Cantonese?
It is Mandarin. That's a good question, Kat. Yes, Mandarin. Because some people would argue Chinese is not really a language.
So Mandarin. And
Yeah,
then how about Japanese?
I learned Japanese for like 3 months, so I know like those very
Okay.
basic words that you learn from anime, and and I read hiragana and katakana, and kanji I can only recognize because I know some Chinese characters. So yeah, and I tried to learn Finnish because I think it sounds very cool. I think it's the coolest language in the world.
Because
But
of all the
it's-
death metal you're listening to, right?
It sounds very good in metal music. That is true, and yes, and that's where the inspiration came from. But it sounds good also out of metal music, and but it's grammatically very, very difficult.
Oh.
So do you lean also towards the Hungarian language then, if you are into?
To me, it's
because
like
that's the same.
opposite. I know they are in the same language group, but they sound to me like the impression I get from them is very opposite one. So to me, Hungarian is like, no offense, a lot of gibberish, like they were making it up on the spot.
Chocolate.
Exactly. I think it's because Slovak language is somewhat similar in pronunciation, and we like create some ideas like when we hear these sounds from Hungarian, but in Finnish I don't have that. So
Yeah, so Kat, how many languages do you speak, understand, learned?
Okay, so I speak Slovak as a native language. I speak English. I speak Czech. I'm learning Korean. And I also understand Slovak, Czech, English. I can speak very tiny bit Hungarian, thanks to my grandma, and very super tiny German. So
Should we count your Australian English as a separate one?
G'day, mate. Or oi.
Oi.
But it's funny because my program manager says, and she's American, that she still can hear my Australian. And I'm like, where? Like, I don't recognize it whenever I speak. But I remember when I lived in Australia, I did catch those, like they say, instead of no, they will go noi, like noi. And then I really started using it a lot and I couldn't get rid of it. But now it's like not there anymore. At least I think it's not there anymore.
I guess we all sound still Polish to everyone anyway, so who cares?
But yeah, that's true. Like we can try to sound like some English native speakers, but yeah, we'll probably sound Russian or Polish to people.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the distinguishing of Czech and Slovak. So we used to be one country as in Czechoslovakia, right? However, these are two different languages. Some words we have absolutely the same, and some are like so different. And for us Slovaks, the way or why we understand Czech is because we still have and still watch the TV in Czech language, or the movies are translated into Czech. And so we still sort of stay in touch with that language. Also, we read books in Czech because they are way better translated. Versus since we split up, which was 93, it's a very rare, or almost to zero, but rare, if you watch Czech TV, that anything would be in Slovak, or that there would be, let's say, Slovak actors that speak Slovak. So that's why the young generation is literally not familiar with Slovak language at all. And when you go to Czech Republic and you just speak Slovak to a younger generation, they don't understand you. And so you either switch to Czech or you switch to English. And Czech also have funny accent. My name is Martin and I come from Czech Republic. You don't say. And there are like few different words, like for breakfast, for example, they have snídani and we have raňajky. So those are like so two different words, right? So it's a huge difference. I know like few Hungarian words are like, or if I'm in a restaurant, I can ask for things, but because, or my grandma is not alive for a few years. And so last time when we were in Hungary and I've tried to request like a bill or water or stuff. And then I was literally thinking whether I actually asked for water or I just said something else, because even the waiter gave me this weird look. And then I was like, like, did I use the right word? Did I? No. Oh my God. Then I tried again. And then I was like, oh, okay. He's going to get it. And I was like, I lost that little bit of Hungarian. I like, oh my gosh. But funny enough, I'm now learning Korean and I already can say almost or understand and say about more than 400 words. So vocabulary is growing. So let's hear it. And then I want to hear Baruch to say a little bit of Mandarin, something like introduction, let's say.
I'm actually terrible at Chinese introduction. I can tell you about food if you want.
Okay. So I'll introduce myself in Korean and you'll say a little bit of food in Mandarin, just so people can hear and see that how foreigners are learning the language and then how it sounds as well. And whether, because for me, Chinese or Mandarin is super hard because everything is on, can I say it like vocal, like the sounds, right? Versus if I take Korean, to me, Korean is using similar sound as we have in Slovak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's for me much easier to learn or at least pronounce as well. And they have the alphabet, the Hangul is like one sign means one letter. So it's not like a sign means a word, for example. 저는 카타리나입니다. 저는 42살입니다. 만나서 반가워요. Yay! And me, college is like, what?
Yeah, for me, it's like, for me, it's like, should I upload now? Was it good? Was it bad? I have no clue how to figure it out. Like, oh, Baruch is clapping. Okay, so I clap too. It sounds that there is a social approval. Okay, let's do that.
문제 없어요. 没关系.
But yeah, you are using Korean accent to speak Chinese. That's kind of funny.
Really? Did I say 没关系? Did I use Korean?
Yeah, Korean, yeah. Like Korean intonation.
Oh
like
my god.
Chinese people wouldn't say it that way. At least I haven't heard it that way. I will use some Chinese now, and honestly, I to give you an excuse, I haven't spoke Chinese in like more than 2 years, so I forgot a lot, especially tones. So forgive me, all the Chinese speaking people. 大家好，我叫芭芭拉，我特别喜欢吃西红柿，还有什么麻辣烫，还有水饺，对，不好意思。
Wow.
It definitely sounds like a Chinese movie if I'm watching, you know.
Wow. But this is the fun when she was doing I would even think that the is part of the Chinese.
I didn't honestly, like when I came back from China, I had a problem to switch between sounds of yes and no in Slovak and in Chinese because they are different. Like in Slovakia, when we want to say yes without saying yes, we say mm-hmm. But in Chinese, you say similar like Japanese, like and there is, I don't think there is no in Chinese, even like they don't have a word for no, and they also don't have a sound for no.
没有.
Because you never say no.
It's just, that's not really no. 没有 is you don't have something, or you are not in possession of something.
But they use it like when I seen it in series, whenever they say something and the answer is like no, they say 没有.
Yeah, but that's just one of the options. So that's not really a truly, like you cannot really translate it as no. Yes, it's a negative, but it's not a no.
Wow. Okay.
So you can't basically get a no from people there.
You can get rejection, but not by saying no. No.
Okay.
But now we know why all Chinese people keep saying just yes.
That's yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Now let's talk a little bit about the learning process. So all three of us speak English for like numerous years. Are you capable to recall back your beginnings? Okay, Baruch is nodding. So Baruch, let's start with you.
Actually, I was learning English since very early childhood, but not like a structured official learning, but the way that kids learn language through cartoons, songs, because well, I was still born in during communism times, so when English was forbidden. But as soon as the borders opened, my mom would just keep our cartoons on Cartoon Network, which was in English, and we listened to those. There were like Slovak programs. Now, when I listen to those tapes, like that they were singing songs in English, they were sang by Slovak people. And now when I listen to it, it sounds terrible to me. But at the time, I wasn't able to recognize that actually Slovak people are singing the English songs, made up songs. But it was a great way to be introduced to English, to grow vocabulary, right? I wasn't able to recognize what I'm saying. I just was learning some few words from that. And yeah, that was before school. And after that, because we didn't have the options that young kids in Slovakia have now, like they can learn English from 6 years, being 6 years old, and later on. So I had a pause for 4 years with English, or I would say like they didn't make interesting songs for this, for kids that are this old. So
and the bus goes round and round.
Yeah,
round
exactly.
And round and round.
Yeah, so I think my English only grew when I was watching maybe some cartoons during this time, and so that I don't think that was really a really good improvement. And of course, when we are 10, and that is still the case, we started to learn English officially in school, and I was very lucky to have great English teachers. They were all Slovak, but you always knew they are there for English and they really want to impart that knowledge to you. So I already said this in our podcast about communism times, but I will say it again. I think these teachers, at least one of them, the one that was my first English teacher, I think she must have learned English during communism times somehow. There were ways, my mom would attest to that. I think they didn't come to our lessons like, oh, I just learned English yesterday. No, I could see like they know what they are talking about. They knew grammar. And yes, we learned actually British English, so in Slovakia. So sometimes, so very often they were introducing us some like British ways to answer questions, or, you know, like the grammar would be a lot of politeness in sentences.
But it's funny how just few years between you and me makes a difference. Not to mention what the kids have nowadays. Nowadays, you even have native speakers here. I was in the 4th grade when we had the Velvet Revolution, and prior to that, we had Russian teachers. So the Russian language was the foreign language we had to learn from a 5th grade. And so our English teachers were actually the former Russian teachers, and they were like 3 lessons ahead of us, right? Mm-hmm. So, and at that time, we could pick between 3 languages, German, English, and French. And I don't know why I picked English, but let's say I'm a stupid for languages. It's way easier to say. And even though I've like learned or studied English for 12 years, when I came to UK in 98, all I could say was, hello, my name is Kat, I'm 17 years old, and I'm from Slovakia. And that was about it. And it's because we were never taught to speak, right? We were taught to memorize the vocabulary and the grammar, but we never trained speaking itself. Mm-hmm. And also, it's different once you're in the country. As an example, based on the dictionary or what teacher were teaching us, we were taught that instead of you're welcome, you're supposed to say not at all. And when I used that in the UK, the family was looking at me like, what are you saying? No, you're supposed to use you're welcome. And my reaction was, I didn't open the door. Why am I welcoming you? And they were looking at me like, what door? So, I mean, how do you say that? The use of language or the correct way of use of language, right? So you usually learn this if you live in that country, because the language evolves as well. And so that was my sort of an interaction with English. And I fine-tuned it once I lived in Australia, also thanks to the job I was doing at school, etc. And then it's now 22 years that I speak daily.
So now that you say it, like you couldn't understand a word or say a word when you came to England, so it was similar for me. And I went there because I went there very confidently because I was one of the better students when it came to English. But I was very disenchanted, to say the least, because I was like, I couldn't have a basic conversation. I couldn't understand basic words, like very basic ones. I know there were a lot of there was a lot of local language involved, local accents. I stayed there only for a year, but it was a very enriching experience for me when we look at learning English, because I didn't have TV and I didn't have radio, and the internet wasn't as widespread at that time. So what would you do?
Dial up.
Yes, dial-up wasn't. I had already internet on my mobile phone, the WAP1. But yeah, I'm one of those early adopters. Anyway, back to the topic. So what would you do if you don't have any kind of entertainment? You either switch to drugs or you go to a library. So yeah, that's because I know some people who did the first one, right? The former. So I chose the latter. I went to a library, asked for a card, because I could actually, as a local resident, I could borrow books for free. So that was like no-brainer for me. And I think I read like at least one book a month, which today would be unheard of from my side, just because we have internet now.
Time.
Yeah.
How many drugs have you missed then?
Well, you would need to ask my friend there. So.
But I would also add one big thing when I came to UK, and they have this never-ending series called Neighbours, and there was one more. And that was the first time in my life that I've heard the actors are, of course, from all over the Great Britain, right? So many different accents. And then there came the Scottish accent. And I was looking at the TV, I'm like, was that English? And then I looked at my family member and I was like, was that English? And she was like, yes. And I'm like, okay, so what is he saying? And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, is that actor from UK? She was like, yes. Was that English? She was, yes. Then how come you don't know? Because it's a very heavy accent. And I'm like, how am poor foreigners supposed to understand the language if the natives don't even understand? So that was like a mind-blowing for me. I was 18. I couldn't grasp it. Like, what on earth is happening? And so the accents, that's a different level.
To me, this happened like when I went for a job interview. And the man that was there, I don't know where he was from. I couldn't understand a word, a single word, not even things like I and. So nothing. Now I suspect he was like Welsh or something like that. I don't know. I couldn't recognize it at the time. But it was really, I couldn't understand a word.
So, Kovac, how is it for you? Because I will also want to touch a bit of a Korean, so let's hear you.
Story for me when it comes to English, I did something in kindergarten, then I've had private lessons, then I went to bilingual grammar school, where we've had English as the main language for everything, basically. So the only exception was Slovak language. I started at 14, I think.
Ah.
So that was 5 years grammar school.
So now you see the younger generation. This
Yeah,
did not
I've really
exist.
sucked in English. I've really sucked in
This
English anyway.
did not exist in my age.
Yeah.
Okay, when I was that
Oh.
age, that didn't exist such a school in Slovakia. So there you go.
So we've had several teachers from Britain and all over the place. So that was interesting to have that, because you were exposed to different accents.
Mhm.
I've sucked in English or at English, still broken English anyway. And I think that the breakthrough was after actually the grammar school, because I've tried to read Harry Potter 7 in English.
Mhm.
And that was something what triggered me that I wasn't really like understanding much of it when it comes to like some words I've been missing a lot when it comes to reading that. So I started to go more into the series and books, and I've learned through those actually basically. And I've noticed that suddenly after reading books and watching series, I understand lyrics in the music. So I was like, okay, so this is new. And that's how I progressed. Then started to talk people outside of Slovakia, so finding friends through internet, not a dial-up or anything like that, already a proper internet. And that's how I got here, so
Interesting.
still broken English.
I had a dream.
I had a dream.
Yeah, when I was 16, like not only that I want to speak English, but I want to read books in English. And it's funny nowadays, like when I, for example, read any books about psychology or emotional intelligence or anything like that, I actually understand it better when it's written in English versus when it's in Slovak. I don't understand it when it's written in Slovak, but I understand it when it's written in English. So yeah.
What it helped me is that I started to watch or listen to things in the natural language. So even if I'm watching Asterix and Obelix, I watch it in French.
Oh,
Mon Dieu is better than any English or Slovak translation. The native language does make a difference. Spanish, Italian, the same. They have their real accents, which makes it a unique experience, and the translation won't help.
Even in cartoons.
Yep,
And
even in cartoons.
I can tell you the difference now when I'm learning Korean, because nowadays there are lots of very interesting applications like Duolingo, Drops, like so many. And I'll just show you a few instances. So I go to classes where we have a Korean teacher and she's like teaching us, and we go according to books and we do exercises, and she's trying to push us to speak out loud. But on top of that, I'm also doing Duolingo sessions, and you also need to like speak and read and then translate and vice versa. And I can see how much I have improved in reading as well as pronunciation just by also doing that. And then, for example, the application Drops is literally for your vocabulary building, and it only works just for 5 minutes. And then you just literally go words. After 5 minutes, you're done. And then you need to wait next day. But I see also words that I've learned just because it's just repetitive, right? Like it just goes. And I was thinking, like, wish I would have something like that when I was learning English, because it took me years, right? And I see the progress. So we will see as me and Baruch are flying to Korea in a few months. So on top of that, I applied for additional Korean classes. So instead of just 3 hours on Fridays, I will have also Monday and Wednesday classes. So I really want to see if once we land there, maybe go to a restaurant or somewhere where I'll be able to understand or maybe say more than just an introductory and stuff like that. So yeah, but it's fun to learn it. It's just like, I literally take it as a hobby. So let's just talk a little bit about recommendations. So really these days, there are like super awesome applications that you can install to your smartphone. And I'm using a few of them because I'm learning Korean. So I use Papago, which is a Korean applications, and it uses you can use it for translation, for example, English, Korean, Korean, English, but also you can click there and check any Korean text, and it just sort of monitors and then translate into English, for example. Then I'm using Duolingo, of course. Duolingo offers numerous languages, but it's just like a fun, and I do it 15 minutes a day, 15 to 20 minutes a day, 3-4 lessons, and I really see big progress. Another one I'm using is Quizlet. Quizlet you can use as like a flashcard, for example, or even matching the terms. So you would have English word, for example, English and Korean. And then another app, which I mentioned as I was talking, is Drops. And Drops, again, is just a vocabulary, building up vocabulary. And Drops does an awesome thing that they use icons as an to help you remember. So you have a picture of something, and then the word, and then even written word, and then translation, let's say. So all of that is just helping me. So for me, I practice 15 to 20 minutes a day plus classes. With that said, 수고하셨습니다.
Bye bye.
Ciao, bye bye.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.